In a world that glorifies hustle culture and burnout, Founder Hero delivers a bold new blueprint for sustainable success, one that empowers leaders to thrive without losing themselves in the process. Written by entrepreneurs and resilience experts Chris Call and James Artman, this transformative guide introduces the HERO framework, a powerful model built on the four pillars of health, economics, relationships, and opportunities. It's not just a system, it's a mindset, a movement, and a mission to help founders lead with purpose and resilience in all areas of life. Guys, welcome to the program. We're so glad you're with us today.
Hey, how's it
Thanks,
going,
John.
John?
And Chris, maybe I'll start with you. What was your impetus for writing the book? Where did the hero concept come from?
Yeah, of course. So the concept for Hero actually came from what we kind of coined in Gym coined ourselves, the four domains of resiliency, which is health, wealth, career, and business, and which is opportunities, and also health, economics, relationships, opportunities. But it comes from like the four domains of marketing too. But we kind of termed it differently for the four domains of resiliency, and that's where the acronym Hero kind of came from. And it was born. Um, the book, it talks about the framework. I mean, it's not just the framework, but there's just a ton of stuff that goes into it. And it really was like an all-encompassing program that we created called Sharpen Your Axe, which we now transformed into what we're now calling the Hero Transformation. It's really what Jim likes to say, manual to unfuck yourself. But everything you can think of is in this book, from Stoic philosophy to how to run your business and how to run your body and how to run your mind, and also the four pillars of resiliency as well, which is we talk about it a ton, which is physical, mental, environmental, and also spirit as well.
Excellent, excellent. And it sounds, Jim, like discipline is a big part of the program. Would you say that's true? It's the guy or gal out there who feels like they're maybe not going anywhere, gives them a framework for building discipline to change their life.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're looking at actually making real sustainable lifestyle changes, we believe that you have to focus on every aspect of your life, the mental, the physical, spiritual, and environmental wellness. And, those are also areas that we have control over. And so when we look at how do we apply, characteristics of mental resilience to our life, what are the actionable things that we can do and take away from that knowledge? That's where that hero framework came into, because that allows us to consider, how are we applying our, good, strong mental or physical or spiritual or environmental wellness strategies to achieving excellent health, or to creating financial freedom for ourselves, or to being an awesome partner in a relationship, or building a really great professional network that contributes to your resiliency. You see all of those different areas, those domains of resilience impact all of us, and so if one of those is off, it's going to affect the others. If our mental health is not good, we're going to be less motivated to go to the gym, and things like that. And so, honestly, John, I felt like, this program is an actual complete program in the sense that, it provides sort of all of those things. It's all encompassing, and, which was a challenge, but we feel like the things that are in there kind of build on themselves to develop that baseline knowledge. And then we, kind of add some more stuff on top of that to give you more tools and resources to work through any kind of challenges or adversity that you have. Because our goal, John, is that all the people that read the book and or end up maybe going through the program that we built that goes even deeper into all of these subjects, is that people will be able to finish that and know exactly how to create the person that they want to become.
Excellent, excellent. Reminds me of the old adage about plan your work and then work your plan. And it seems, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that don't have a plan, and then they wonder why they're not getting to where they want to be in life. And it sounds like you've built a framework to help people frame out what exactly do they want out of life, and then to take proactive steps to get there. Can you give us an example, Chris, maybe from the book of one way that somebody could make a step or a plan toward getting to where they want to be?
Yeah, yeah. Also, too, just to kind of reiterate what you're saying about the plan, one thing I say in the book and we talk about a lot as well, and I something I always say is if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And by not having a plan in place to try to step into that best version of yourself, like it's not going to happen. It's going to be nearly impossible, essentially. And this book is just kind of like a stepping stone framework of taking actionable steps as you go through. There's a ton of worksheets and exercises that we intentionally put in order where you're going through, and for example, Brene Brown's core value exercise. We had that in chapter 3. You go through there and there's a space in the book for you to fill it out. And it kind of just leads into helping you kind of discover and own your purpose. And that's one of the mantras that we have. It's our company motto is own your purpose. And it's for a reason, because when people don't have a direction and they don't know their purpose in their life, it's very hard for them to follow a plan to actually become that best version of themselves that they see themselves in the future. And there's just a lot of actionable items that kind of keep you grounded, keep you present. And Stoic philosophy is a huge core fundamental portion of this book that we teach. And I mean, there's a lot of chapters that kind of just go back to understanding, focus on the things you can control, and let the things you can't control, those are silence, like let them be silent, and just focus on what you have control in your life. And that's how you actually make change and impact. And you can actually step into that version of yourself that is your hero, essentially.
Absolutely. Own your purpose. I love it. And it could almost be construed to be the same thing as take responsibility for your own life, right? It's nobody else is going to do it for you, and nobody's owed anything, essentially. Would you agree with that, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, from doing the research and building the program and writing the book and, like what it is that contributes to one's resiliency, purpose just really stands out as a big one. And that's not just from my research, that's also from my lived experience. When I'm focused on doing something and contributing towards something that provides meaning and a strong sense of purpose, where I'm connected to something greater than myself. Or I've heard people say it before. When you care about something more than yourself, sort of any of that little garbage, depression or anxiety or worries that kind of just lurks and follows you around all the time, really just starts to fade away. And so I think that purpose is a super important ingredient in and being a resilient human. And so, yeah, it's our responsibility to position ourselves to this place where we can own it, right? And that means that we have to take care of ourselves. You can't eat like a feral 6-year old, like I like to say, drink our feelings. We need to be adults, learn how to be kind to others, and develop a professional network. We need to take good care of our bodies so we're not sick and tired all the time, because all that stuff is just becomes an excuse and a reason why you didn't, do all the things that you want, right? A big
Absolutely.
part of this program and what we teach in the book is that, yeah, personal accountability. Everything is a choice, and it's up to us to choose to be resilient, to do things that are hard when you don't want to.
Choose to be resilient and choose to be successful, you
Yeah.
might say. And you mentioned your life history and experience, Jim, and I know you were an Army Ranger and a sniper, and I have to imagine the precision and the discipline required in that role would align very closely with the hero philosophy that if you can't stop your hand from shaking, you can't fire the shot that you need to take. Did you find that the military was a good structure or a good example of structure in that regard?
Well, one thing that the military does really well at providing for you is opportunities to have to overcome mental limitations, especially in Ranger Regiment or in a school, like sniper school. It's very hard. It hurts. You can't fall out of a run. You fall out of a run in Ranger Regiment, you might as well just ask to leave. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like
Yes.
nobody's gonna want you there. And that's just how it is. It's like, special operations units and those types of jobs require excellence, and and everything really is it's all in your head, and I think the first chance I really got to really tap into that is when I was in selection for Ranger Regiment. They used to call it RIP, or the Ranger Indoctrination Program, and it was awful. But it was very black and white for me. Like I knew that I was never going to quit. I would have died going through RIP before I quit.
That's
So
the type of drive that it takes, I would think.
yeah, there's no way. Like, it wasn't an option for me, and that's, I think, for a lot. Well, all the guys that I graduated with, that's exactly how we all felt. Because when we were going through the hardest part of it, nobody quit. We went from 250 some candidates to a graduating class of 54. So, which is pretty typical. Well, it was back then. Um, but that wasn't even the hardest part. Like, after you get to regiment, it just keeps getting harder, and every day, and so you either rise to the occasion, and not feel sorry for yourself and just push through it. And then when you do that over and over and over again, you realize you got way more than what your brain is trying to tell you. And so it just makes
Absolutely.
it, I kind of like to refer to it as like making deposits in the self-discipline bank, instead of making withdrawals, because it really does strengthen your resolve to be in charge of yourself.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. And it's clear now to me that you mentioned earlier about folks trying to unfuck up their life, but you don't have to have a fucked up life to pursue this program. I mean, would that be correct, Chris? I mean, wherever you're at, whatever level of
Yeah.
effectiveness or personal satisfaction you're at, you can do better. We can all do better. And this is a framework that can help you do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, 100%. And also too, like, just to reiterate as well, the book's called Founder Hero, but I mean, you don't need to be a founder to understand the framework and kind of embrace what we teach in the book. And also kind of going back to what Jim said, I just did the Audible for chapter 6 today, which was Life is Full of Choices. And one of the things that Jim says in there I mean, this is always stuck in my head, but one of his quotes is the prescription of healing is within us all. And it's so true, but it's even more accurate for entrepreneurship and this framework that we have in place. I mean, comparing it to like special operations, what Jim went through, obviously it's very different, but it's the same concept. Whereas you can't fail unless you quit. So it's the same thing with, going through RIP, what Jim was saying, being an entrepreneur, being a founder, you can't fail unless you quit. It's the same logic. And when you take that mindset into applying it to whatever facet of your life, whether it be your health, your economics, your relationships, your opportunities, as long as you keep putting in the effort day in and day out, you keep putting in, those deposits into your self-discipline bank, you're not going to fail. You're going to eventually find the pathway to success. And that's why embracing this hero framework, you really can apply it to every possible facet of your life.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm really glad to hear that you'll be producing an audiobook as well. I know that a lot of the folks watching today will be interested, and a lot of people do all of their reading by listening these days, whether it's during a commute or otherwise. So, good move on getting an audiobook.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Is the program more than just the book? Is it a club, or what exactly is all involved with the Hero Initiative?
So we realized that making any kind of change is difficult. So this program, and is also very comprehensive. It's based in functional medicine. We even teach people how to cook, how to be
I love it.
somebody that cooks healthy meals for themselves without needing recipes, like understanding that. So there's so much content in there that we do offer support with coaching, just to kind of help guide people through the process of developing effective behavior-based goals around, you know, any kind of deficiencies. We do surveys with them. There's more of a self-assessment just to kind of evaluate, where they're at with their mental, physical, spiritual, or environmental health. So yeah, and it's a deeper dive, because some of these subjects, we talk about fasting, we talk about epigenetics, to help people understand how impactful environment is to your health, to teach them how to curate an environment that supports them, mentally, physically, spiritually, professionally, personally, So yeah, it gets a little bit more involved. So I think that, yeah, to answer your question, the book talks a lot about that stuff. We do apply it to the context of somebody who is a founder starting a company. But to Chris's point, like, you don't have to be a combat veteran or a founder to have experienced trauma, right? Trauma is a normal part of life. But most people, I missed a class where they teach you how to develop healthy coping strategies and grieve properly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I didn't get that
Yes.
one. I don't know if you guys did. And
I
so
did not.
we
And
realized it's like, from doing this stuff ourselves, like we realized, I was like, oh, well, if you try to be somebody that cooks healthy meals all the time, here's the things the challenges that you will face in trying to do so. So we put in there, healthy food shopping list, teach people how to set up their pantry for success. We've got exercises in there that help people understand how to work through, you know, stuck points or old soul contracts that are a result of adverse childhood experiences, things that they may not even be aware of. So, yeah, it's just really a much more comprehensive and deeper dive than what's in the book.
excellent, excellent. And I would be one of those who missed the cooking class for sure. I think my cooking is restricted to 60 seconds in the microwave and your dinner's ready. Uh, and not a good diet for sure.
We'll give
Chris,
you a
if people want,
discount on the program, John, if you want.
excellent, excellent. I think I might be a candidate for sure. For sure. Chris, where would people go if they want to find out more about the program? I know we can leave some notes here on the YouTube channel and other places the video gets posted, but is there a website that people can visit for more information?
Yeah, so we our main website is extremeresilience.net. But also too, we have the domains for founderhero.com, founderherobook.com, and Hero Transformation, for example. But the major domain that we have that we want to drive people to is extremeresilience.net. That's the main one.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it's been a fascinating discussion with both of you guys. I have so much respect for what you have done and what you are doing. And before we leave today, is there any other final thoughts that you want to give each of you, Jim? I'll start with you.
I think, just for anybody that reads the book, realize that, like, it is basically like kind of an instruction manual. So we encourage people to be excited about it. It's sort of like getting an education in yourself, how to generate health, in every aspect of your life, and to read it actively. We are putting out an Audible, but if you have a physical copy, you're listening to it, highlighting, taking notes, those kind of, that way of reading really makes it sink in. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, super excited.
Absolutely.
And if you get a copy, please leave us a review. I think everybody I know personally that's bought one so far has gone off and bought more for their friends, or they give it
Terrific.
away because they're like, dude, you need this more than I do.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any final thoughts, Chris?
Oh yeah, for sure. For anyone that wants to, reach out, connect with me and Jim on LinkedIn. Also, to our emails are chris@extremeresilience.net. Same with Jim, it's james@extremeresilience.net. Additionally, too, we're taking candidates and interviews for our next book. It's called Action Hero, but it's the founder hero in action, essentially. And we're trying to correlate the how purpose and structure can be applied to your business, and how successful companies have a correlation with the self-fulfillment and with their founders and their employees as well. So if you are a founder, exec, whatever it may be, if you have a high level at a company that's successful and you want to be interviewed for our book, we'd love to interview you for the next round of Action Hero.
Guys, thank you so much to both of you. It's been an absolute pleasure and really exciting learning more about Founder Hero, both the book and the program, and quite frankly, the philosophy of life. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks, John.